We're live in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Um, so the topic of the day is first of all, sorry I wasn't here last Thursday. I had to go down to Florida for a quick visit some family. Got a quick visit. My parents are down in Deltona, Florida, and we went down there to just see how they were doing, hang out, stuff like that. So it's been since Thanksgiving since I saw them. So I decided to go down there and give them a visit. So anyway, hope you guys didn't wasn't too disappointed that we didn't have it last Thursday. All right, so let's get started with some questions. Hope everyone's having a wonderful Thursday. Okay, first question comes from Amy, who had asked me a question a week ago in the messaging, and I didn't get to it, so I apologize, Amy. But if you're watching, uh, I will answer your question right now. All right. That shelter pit bull that I asked you about, still goes to a crazy state of mind for no reason. We thought he was better because when he jumped on us, it wouldn't escalate. But this is what the owner of the shelter said today. Do you think a shock collar would help? I asked her if they were playing ball and if he was excited. No, he was in the yard, and I said, come. He came running and grabbed my arm, ran away. Then I went for the ball, and he came again, grabbing for the other forearm, and he chopped down hard when I turned my back to him. Uh, he wasn't heightened until he grabbed me. All right. So basically, what you guys need to learn is how to gain respect from this dog. This dog um, clearly has no regard for consequences. This dog has an attitude that it can do what it wants to do. Has little to do with where it came from, what it went through, this and that and the other. Little to do with. I didn't say nothing, but I said little to do with because yeah, there definitely may be things that the dog could have learned, say, if the dog stayed in the litter for the right amount of time with the mother and came from responsible breeding, or whatever happened before you guys got him. And so, um, but basically, if you guys want me to, since this dog seems pretty difficult, I will come up there and show you guys a few things. All right, so wherever this dog is, let me know wherever this dog is, and obviously if it's in Wisconsin, I will come out and show you guys because that sort of behavior seems, you know, that's for a lot of people. There's a lot of situations, grounds for putting the dog down. So to answer your question, you guys have to learn how to get respect from the dog. Period. So many people. I had a lady call me today. Actually, a past client um, who had a dog that went through our training, and um, and apparently the dog stayed with their parents, and they had asked if the parents would follow through with the same methods and approach that we established while the dog was here, and they didn't completely do that at all, and the dog ended up biting someone, right? Um, and one of the approaches, so the dog, one of the situations where the dog bit was the dog was in a corner, and the family member went and tried to go get the dog out of the corner, and they tried to give the dog a treat, and the dog took the treat and bit him. And so I really want to help people realize that the friendship approach is not the right approach. All right. You should not, your goal is not to be friends with the dog that you're getting to know. Even if the dog does know you, right? Especially giving the dog treats. The dog took the treat and bit the person. Like, okay, treats work. Yeah, they really work. The dog's gonna. It's like it's like giving a friend $100 and them slapping you right afterwards. That's how disrespectful that was. So, in that regard, I told them, and I really wanted to, put this forward to them so that they understand. This particular dog has to, um, first and foremost, respect whatever, whoever is watching them. They have to respect them. Um, and you only can do that if you learn how to sort of operate that dog so that it is conducive to the dog not biting. But being friends with certain dogs allows them the freedom to go into all this misbehaved, whatever it is. It allows the dogs to uh, have little respect. So respect is the first thing that you should have, or you should try and establish from your dog, not friendship. Friendship comes after. There are parents that are not friends with their children. Okay, it's not your goal to be friendly with your child. You may not like your child, but that's not the goal. I mean, obviously you want your child to like you, right? At the end. But our job is to lead, educate. And that means we have to do things, or we have to show them things, or we have to make them do things that they don't necessarily ask for or like. But that's just life, isn't it? So I again emphasized that it is respect, because I was a total stranger when I met this particular dog and I did not get bit. Why? Because I asked for mutual respect. I'm not going to hurt you. You're not going to hurt me. We're here to learn. I'm not going to be your friend first. I want it. Of course, I want friendship from all the dogs that I train. I love it. But it's got to come after respect. And you have to earn my petting, my praise. Some dogs don't even want it though. When they first come here, they're like, I don't even want you to touch me. Get away from me. If you touch me, I'll bite you. Okay, I respect that. I'm not going to touch you because you've probably been put in situations where there's many people that have touched you when you didn't want to be touched, and that's why you bit. So I'm not going to touch you. But then what happens? After a while of no touching, then the dog starts to say, I miss being touched. Let's see, how do I get that? Oh, he kind of praised me when I did that. Maybe let me do more. Let me do more of that to get me some of that stuff that I missed, some of that petting that I missed, um, some of the thing that I like the most. Oh man, it's as simple as that. If they get too much of something they like, there's no need to act any way to get it. They just do what they want because they're going to get it anyway. And that's the hardest part. I talked to an owner today, had a teddy bear Yorkie, and the dog bit the child, bit the husband, bit her, bit everybody in the house. Okay. So I said, this dog's free to do what it wants. When's the last time it was on the couch? Today. Okay, well, this is what you're going to have to deal with. What's worth it for you in the long run? Because in order for this dog to realize that it's not okay to bite, the dog cannot easily get what the things that they like the most. The dog can get on the couch when it wants. Dog can get on the bed when it wants. Dog can bark to get treats when it wants. Dog can growl when it wants. Everything. Whatever. I can do this. No problem. There's nothing that's going to stop me from doing it. Nothing. I don't care. I'll bite you. I'll bite everybody up in here. It's all good. But in order for them to do that, what's more powerful than having mutual respect? Name one relationship in your life. You won't be in a relationship, no matter human, dog, doesn't matter what it is, that there won't be some sort of respect. If you're if the relationship that you're in is totally tyrannical and you're getting taken advantage of, you need to get the hell out. That's not a healthy relationship. Not many people in their right mind put up with just being ran over. And if you do, then your life probably is not a healthy one. Same thing with dogs. Any relationship, it doesn't matter if it's a dog or not. If you allow them to do whatever they want, then they don't think the consequences, or first of all, they don't think there's any consequences. So they're free to do what they want. And like I said on the Instagram, the fearful, aggressive dog bites because they want you to stop. They may be confused. They may want you to go away. Where the bratty, pretentious dog that becomes aggressive is free to bite when he wants, when he feels like it. And that's that's when people say they're unpredictable. It's the ones who have good homes, who have everything they want. Those are the dogs who are unpredictable because they're free to feel how they want to feel given the context. So, yeah, in that regard, your dog is unpredictable because it's free to be unpredictable. But guess how you can get a predictable dog? Guess how you can get a predictable relationship no matter what it is? All right. So, if you want your son or daughter to come home at 10 a.m. or 10 p.m. and they come home at 11 p.m. and you say, "It's all right. It's okay. No worries. I understand. No problem." Then they're free to not come home at 10 p.m. They're free to do what they want because there's no consequence. Last time she just gave me a pass. He gave me a pass. So I ain't got to be home at 10. We can extend it. But what happens if there is a consequence strong enough for them to think twice about being late? Then they actually consider being home at 10 p.m. Okay. I got a question. All right, what are your opinions about sending dogs in shelters to a board and train program? I don't see it as beneficial unless there is going to be consistency afterwards. You know, it's a tough one. I always tell people, or shelters, or rescues, my one condition. I'm not going to work with your dog unless I have a person that's dedicated to this dog at least a month or two afterwards. right? Because they go back to the same environment that have the same rules, and that's what you get. So my one condition is that I have a human that is maybe on the fence of adoption. It's best if we have someone who says, "I want this dog," you know. I need a human to teach. That's all. I don't need a. I can get I can get the dog to a certain point. I need a human to teach. You know what I mean? So that's my one condition when it comes to that. Otherwise, it's you're wasting your time, wasting their money, and it's also could come back to your reputation. So that's what you want to keep in mind. You're helping someone. I know this, you know, and you could possibly get someone to be interested while they're training with you via videos and all that good stuff. But sometimes those situations don't even pan out, and you end up keeping the dog for much longer than you expected, and that can cause a little bit of tension between you and the rescue. And so, you know, if you feel like, you know, if you're not very busy, then absolutely, you know, that's always a good plan to fall back on. You know, rescue dogs, there's just a ton of them. But you know, if you're busy with people who are dedicated to their dogs, then that's where you got to focus. That's where it needs to stay. And you know, it sucks. You know, but you know, it's learning how to say no, which is something I still struggle with. Because at the end of the day, you know, it's the dogs who end up on the wrong side. So, thank you for your question, Alex. Hope all is well. All right, let's go to the next question, eh? Okay. Hey, Jeremy, we have a German Shepherd and invisible fencing. She's pretty good with the recall as long as there's no distractions outside. However, if there are young kids playing outside, she becomes extremely excited and will not listen. Zero recall. I've been putting her inside when it happens. I'm not sure if this is an opportunity to work with her. I have to get her pinch collar and lead him back into the house. I will try to lead her with just her collar. She will try and bite my hand. Ooh, looking for suggestions on this. Okay, so well, let's just address the dog trying to bite your hand first. When you're handling the dog amongst stressful things, let's address that. Okay, so what you want to do is focus on fixing that. That's a respect issue. And you can start fixing those issues looking at every interaction you have with your dog throughout the day, not just outside. Outside's just a manifestation of maybe things that you could be overlooking in the dog's life overall. All right? So, if the dog thinks it's okay to bite your hand, that's a big problem. All right? The dog should not be able, that's the last thing. Okay, let's get the dog to think twice about doing that. All right? But first and foremost, how's the control when the dog is in the house? Let's start there. Very basic. Okay. Do you have the ability to say, go lay down, and your dog actually do that? Respect you. Okay. That would be a good place to start. Getting your dog to listen, very basic level. Okay? If you have that ability, that's a great start. All right, and then the next step would be to have your dog listen to you under distraction, which could be you even just walking towards the door, grabbing the dog's leash and collar, going into the kitchen, cooking food, eating, and the dog still have the ability to go lay down on its bed. If you can have that level of compliance within the house, then you have a much better chance of getting the dog to listen outside. So, hi, Amy. So, what we have to look at again is every interaction that you and their dog have. The dog's mind can stay humble enough if certain things are non negotiable. Okay, here are rules in my house. And it's different because I'm a trainer and I'm home all the time. So my dogs are out pretty much all the time. Hi, Mom. Um, but when they're in the house, they're laying down. And I don't know if you guys can hear them in the background, but they're snoring right now. So I don't really allow free roam in the house. But 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 I challenge you guys to I challenge you to do that. Try to accomplish that, and then see how the outside behavior works. Okay? If the dog again tries to go for your hand in that situation, which it won't if you can cover your bases and all the things that I just discussed, but if it does, you will have to give your dog a strong correction in order for your dog to think twice about doing so. All right, because that's a very disrespectful thing. Think of it like a child or an adult that thinks it's okay to slap you. How offended would you be if that happened? Very offended. So that's the type of energy, thought process you need to bring if your dog decides to bite you. No matter what the context. Dogs can choose, there are many options a dog can choose to do under stress besides biting. Okay? Many. Don't give the dog the benefit of the doubt that, oh, it's okay because it was this. No. Mm-mm. No, because there are dogs that are within fights. There are dogs that fight, right, amongst each other. That if there's a person that's around them that is respectful enough, or if there's a person within that, say for example, you have two dogs that are fighting, and you have a great relationship with your dog, a very respectful relationship. Within that tornado of dogs and teeth and hair and whatever else, if you have a very respectful relationship with your dog, you can get your dog to stop. You can get your dog to stop in that environment. And it within that fighting and mindset. So even their most stress, that's a very adrenalized state. Even within that chaos, they still weigh their options. Okay, so I would make a checklist on how many things the dog gets to do, what it wants on its own terms, and start um, eliminating those, because you'll have a dog that listens much better when you want it to if you decide to do those things. All right, but that's a good question. All right, those of you who are watching and just joined in, we are live on YouTube and Facebook. So one of the other freezes up or doesn't work, which generally doesn't happen, head on over to the next thing and we'll be able to answer your question. Okay, let's see. Do you think counter conditioning can help aggressive dogs even given enough time and patience? Yes, what you have to have, there are two approaches. And I'm in the middle of those in my opinion because of the way that I set up my training program. So you can wait a dog's behavior out, which is the patience part, or you can correct the dog at a high level, which will also solve most problems and is more of the stressful approach. Okay, so counter conditioning can help given enough time, but I question that approach because, in my mind, now there are some things that I take uh, the dog, the dog's approach, right? I always put myself in what a dog would do to another dog in order for them to stop a behavior or accept the behavior. And in that regard, you know, most dogs don't really take time. They don't really counter condition, although there are some dogs with a temperament that do counter condition each other. Um, but some dogs waste no time in in teaching what the boundaries are. So it depends on the dog. It depends on what the dog can handle. Some dogs that are fearful, counter conditioning works for really well. Some dogs that are not so fearful and pushy, I don't feel like waiting out because those dogs have an attitude problem versus the fearful dog I really can sympathize with because they've been through it. Hey Kim, how are you? Did you see the thumbnail is Dozer, so that's coincidental that you're here. I hope they're doing all right. I hope that answers your question. I'm not one for sort of terms. I get the basics of counter conditioning. Um, I really like it. Um, it. I shouldn't say it just depends on the dog. It just depends on the what you're trying to actually pursue, and then it depends on the type of dog you're dealing with within the context of what you're trying to improve. Okay, so if you have a very fearful Doberman that's trying to learn the treadmill, then you would start counter conditioning the dog uh, to accept everything the treadmill has to offer. Okay, but if you have a dog who is very open to different things, there's no need. If you have a dog that is very open and can easily accept different things and whatever the context may bring or whatever the treadmill can bring, then there's no need. So, doing pretty good. He's sassy and ready for summer. Aren't we all? Cheers to that. Okay. Nicole says, how slow or fast do you take the desensitization process for leaving the house for training a dog with separation anxiety? Already using lots of structure otherwise and knows to be in a down in the kennel. Are you the one with that beagle? That knucklehead of a beagle? Yep, you are. Okay. Okay. All right, let me read your question again now that I know who I'm talking to. All right. How slow or fast to take the desensitization process for leaving the house or training a dog with separation anxiety? You're already using lots of structure otherwise and knows to be in the down. So I know you guys are very good at a lot of things. Okay. Um, I excuse me. What I would start to do is Obviously, make sure before you leave the house that the dog is sort of drained, either mentally or physically or both. Um, and then try and get a baby monitor or a camera on the dog. Um, and sorry, my dog is doing something weird. Um, all right, so make sure that you have a camera on the dog. I would go get in the car, watch from my cell phone with the e-collar on, and see if you can correct that. Now, here's the other deal. Okay, depending on how bad it is, you can also help the dog calm down with a bark collar and not make and not have to be there or not have to worry about them escalating because it can get corrected with the bark collar if it gets too antsy, right? um, and that's a whole nother kind of conversation because the type of bark collar matters and all that good stuff. um, but I know that you guys have given a lot of structure. I know he knows what to do. um, So I would start challenging the dog more as far as the separation anxiety goes. This is the difference between separation anxiety and the dog just hating the crate. Okay. So a lot of people call me and they say the dog hates the crate. It's not separation anxiety, it's the crate. Okay, so then I ask, does the dog tear up crap outside of the crate when you're gone? Yes. Okay. So it's separation anxiety. It's not has little to do with the crate. All right. So what we have to do is crate the dog more often at home. Get the dog to be comfortable in the crate while we're home. If you're ever gonna expect the dog to be comfortable in the crate while you're gone, dog has to do so while you're home. Okay. And then and then you take it the next step, right? Just go outside. Everyone go outside, act like you're leaving, and just wait. Wait until you can hear the dog. Or again, it's best if you get a camera on the dog because maybe the dog stands up. Then you can correct. You can even go back inside, put the dog in the down, go back outside, and repeat and repeat and repeat. Okay, until the dog, you get the dog to realize that it's not a big deal. That you went outside the house, opened the door, closed the door, all that good stuff, and came back inside. All those things can't be a big deal to a dog that has separation anxiety, because um, that's when they get into that mindset of what's maybe being reinforced, previous to the approach. Right when you walk in, you say hi to the dog, and it's the best thing ever because you've been gone at work and let's just pet party and have a good time. The dog doesn't want to not be away from that. Okay. So some dogs can handle it, but some dogs can't. And so I encourage people with separation anxiety dogs to have um, to ignore the dog when they get home as well. You know, make sure that you're getting calm energy before you even pay attention to the dog in a positive way. I'll plug that in. There we go. So so that's what I would do. If that wasn't clear, give me a call and we can walk through some things. But that's what I would do. I would start challenging the dog even more. Just watch the dog for 10 minutes after you leave the house or when you have time. Again, put the dog on a baby monitor or some sort of camera, leave the house, get in the car, and watch the dog. And so you can do that one of two ways. What I would do if the dog gets antsy is walk in there, put the dog in the down, correct the dog via e-collar, put the dog in the down, walk back out. Or if the dog is really kind of conditioned with the e-collar to go down or to calm down with the e-collar correction, you can just stay in the car and give the e-collar correction. Okay, hope that helps. All right, I have a foster, a 4-year-old German Shepherd who's 84 pounds. My question is, he leans on me. When he leans on me, when he heals, he leans. Help. Uh, Kind of use your leg to push him back. and continue to do that. It can be for German Shepherds. It's kind of a security thing. You're welcome, Nicole. It's kind of a security thing. You know, they feel comfortable with it, and usually when they lean, someone usually pets. You know what I mean? So it's just a conditioned sort of way to get what they want. But you can change that through with enough time by kind of pushing them away with your leg. You know. Yeah, that's kind of a German Shepherd thing. It's common in Great Danes. You know, they like that lean. So that's what I would do. Our next dog is coming to me, you for crate training. Dozer was horrible in the crate until you took him. Big Dozer. Uh, yeah, bring him. Bring him, bring him, bring him. All right, we might as well get to the topic of the show. And it is trainers' personal dogs. All right, so when I want to talk about trainers' personal dogs, I've had um, a few trainers call me, and they're kind of struggling with their personal dogs, and it's kind of eating at them. You know, it's kind of wearing on them. It's kind of eating at them that they can take clients' dogs, and they can, you know, do wonderful things with them. You know, they can get them to behave and not react, and these cool things with strangers' dogs, clients' dogs. But when it comes to their dogs, they're still struggling with certain things. Okay, so we have to start to diagnose the psychology about behind why that is happening. Okay, um, and there's a couple of things. There's a couple of reasons why this is happening. Okay, very simple in theory. Very simple, and it's tough. Um, but but first and foremost, let's just state the obvious. The daggum dog knows you. Okay, it knows you. What's the difference between a client's dog and your dog? That right there. One dog knows the hell out of you. The other dog doesn't know you at all. All right? So you can do many things with a dog that doesn't know you. Why? Because the dog's thinking, who the hell are you? All right? That's it. The dog's thinking, who the hell are you? Okay, but think about what that does in environments where the dog is reactive. First of all, let's just talk about a reactive dog. What is a reactive dog? A reactive dog reacts, all right? This means this. Doorbell means bark. Doorbell means charging. Strangers mean biting. Dog means charging. Dog means lunging. Reactive, reactive, reactive. There's no thought in a reactive dog. It's just this means this. This means this. This means this. This means this. That's a reactive dog. But when you add the component of a stranger, there's something else the dog has to think about. It's a different feel. The dog is thinking about the stranger, which then is where the magic comes, because the dog is actually not just reacting. And this is talking about general terms. There are some dogs that don't give a dang about who's there. All they care about is what's making them react. But you will find that it's easy to work dogs that don't know you because they don't know you. Okay? That's where people think that We are magicians. He's never done that before. She's never done that before. Yeah, well, never met me before. All right, so you're more likely to be open to someone who you don't know that tells you the same things that your parents have been telling you for years because you don't know them. And there's an element of, might be right, but you don't know that person to be consistent or not. And that's the difference. That's why there are therapists. That's why there are people that you talk to, as opposed to getting that same advice from your parents or your friends or something like that. A third party is what you call it. So that's what we are as dog trainers. We're third party. We can sort of come in, we don't have the emotional attachment, and we can say, you know what? Your parents have been trying to get you to do this daggum thing, but I'm going to get you to do it. And it's going to make me look like I'm doing magic. But at the end of the day, it's not about being magical. It's just about having the dog not be so reactive or as reactive because they are thinking about the unknown, which is the trainer. So don't be too hard on yourself when it comes to your personal dogs. Don't be too hard on yourself because you can beat yourself up about it. Okay? Don't be too hard because it's still a journey for your personal dogs as well. A lot of trainers focus on their clients more than their dogs. That's fine. I have no problem with that. My approach is I'm going to work on my dogs when I have the time and when I'm feeling good. If I don't have time and I'm not feeling good, it's not good to train because it's going to be a bad situation. Sorry. Because it's going to be a bad situation. So, trainers, don't be too hard on yourself if you can't get your dog to be daggum perfect. Because as we all know, and what we should know, is that no dog's going to be perfect. Okay? So don't be too hard on yourself. If it takes a while to get to where you want to get to with your personal dogs. We're dealing with different things as well. The same things as our clients, but we may be dealing with someone else in the household who doesn't really agree with the approach. And that's a good learning opportunity. How do we communicate with our, partner on how to get on the same page? Because it can't just be frustration. It can't just be this is the way it is. This is how it's done. This is how everyone does it. No, sometimes that's not enough. So, learning the ability to articulate to where it makes sense to the people who are disagreeing with you is another big factor and on your personal dog's success. Because we all know that everyone in the house has to be on the same page. And if they're not, then you'll see problems sort of be delayed to getting to the point where you want to get to with your dog. All right, so don't be too tough on yourselves when it comes to your personal dogs. We're all on a journey. It's not easy for anyone. Okay? All right, I'll answer a few more questions. If you guys have any, feel free to shoot. I'll answer a few more questions on here, but that's sort of my spiel on personal dogs. I think I've kind of covered it all, or as much as I can think of right now. Don't you hate it when you can think of some really good stuff after? That's usually me. I'm not good at thinking about everything I want to talk about on the spot. It's always after when I'm like, dang it, I wish I could have said that. All right. Let's go to another question. Okay. Let's see. How do I get my dog to go to its bed for longer or stay on its bed for longer periods of time? Sometimes I put the dog back 10 times. If the dog hears any distractions, he gets up. Um, I would say you have to go back to fundamentals, add a tool, either the e-collar or the prong collar or in leash. But when the dog gets up, the dog has to know that it's not really pleasant to and not listen to you. So give a dog a leash correction or an e-collar correction, some sort of consequence for not listening. That's going to get the dog to think twice about getting up because the dog thinks, well, I think I got to listen here because I want to avoid that correction and I want to avoid that pressure from you. So the dog does have to have some sort of correction if it's not listening to you and it's getting up every single distraction. Now listen, this is the power of it though. Okay, yeah, that sounds pretty cold that we have to correct the dog in that circumstance. But the beautiful thing of that is that that if the dog does decide to say, well, I'm gonna just stay here because they're gonna give me a correction. While those distractions are going on, the dog starts to learn how to control its mind, its impulse in that situation, despite the distractions that go on. Okay, so that's our job. Our job is to show the dog that if it's not something to worry about, then you should not worry about it. But uh, if you get up after every single thing, all these distractions, then just what you're building is a dog that can't pay attention, a nervous dog. He gets to feed into his own insecurities, and then it's a slippery slope. The dog continues to have those securities, and they may even expand, right? But if you say, hey, guess what? That daggum, the dog walking by, the truck that whatever, I don't know, whatever it is that gets the dog up. You don't have to worry about it. I've checked it out. You're good to go. Go lay down. That's a very crucial um, aspect to your relationship that you should have and you should gain, because it only does wonderful things, right? It teaches the dog that you don't got to worry about it, and it also builds trust within you and the dog. So if the dog is constantly reacting to its environment like that, how safe does your dog actually think the environment is? Not very safe. So it's up to us to make it safe. Woo! Thanks for your question. All right, got a couple questions coming on in, eh? All right, Christian Marie says, "Give me strength. I've been slipping. Oh hell, we still do place and all that, but I've been given unearned affection again, and have allowed him back in my bed." Man, you know, if you were here, I'd be giving you shit. All right. Can I go hard with getting back to our training right out the gate? Like wake up tomorrow and no more all that stuff all at once? Yes, you can, because he clearly knows what to do. You know what I mean? He clearly knows what to do. How come he's sleeping in your bed? What's going on? You don't got to tell me if it's personal, but what's going on that all of a sudden now he gets to get all of what he wants? No, not that dog. I know that dog. No, 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 no. You may have to be okay with never having that ever again. Especially, if you want him to accept strangers. He's gonna, he's, yeah, I know who it is. I know exactly who that is. I know Benny. Yeah, I remember him. Mm-hmm. Get that dog out your bed. Whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah, well, you definitely ain't gonna have him over if he's in the bed. That ain't gonna work. You definitely ain't gonna have him over if he's in the bed. Start. Hi, Jody. How are you? Try putting him in the crate. Right. Have your man over. Put the e-collar on. Make sure the dog stays in the down. Good first step. Keep the dog in the crate. Don't worry about bringing him out. You know what I mean? Don't let that dog decide who you can have over. Get that dog in the crate. Tell that dog to be quiet. Call me if you want to talk further. For real. All right. Hi, Jeremy. You met our dog Ginger a year ago at the Fetch Seminar. You worked with us on her resource guarding. She's been doing great with us. And you worked with us on her resource guarding. She's been doing great with us and our other resident dog. But anytime we bring in a foster dog, she seems to forget everything. This current foster has put her over the edge. She went after our resident dog yesterday simply for walking by her. I was standing right there, and she was able to correct. Was able to correct her immediately with my voice. Then the pet commissioner. She knows she did something really bad. She's been moping the entire day today. She's literally avoiding the foster dog. Is there something more we should be doing? No, I think that's a great step. If the dog is avoiding what it's kind of fearful of, then that's better than being aggressive about it. So there's always a few steps that you see in a dog's rehabilitation, right? And so it's aggression, avoidance, acceptance. So give the dog enough time. Be there though to advocate for all dogs, and you'll see that the dog starts to accept what it was once fearful of or being bratty about. Okay, so don't worry about it moping. Don't pay attention to that. Let the dog come out of the corner, right? So we used to have dogs that used to be in dog daycare, and the first thing that they would do, some dogs, would go in the corner and just sit there. You know? And it's like, no, yeah, we can maybe coax them a little bit out. We can give them some praise and say it's okay, but I don't know. I like to let the dog lay back and say, let me check this place out. Let me, let me feel this out. You know? And with enough time, every single dog comes out and then becomes a rock star and starts to play. Okay, so yes, you may have confusion. Yes, you may have, what it looks like to be fear. But it's them sort of just processing what just happened. And all you have to do is a very abbreviated version of how you corrected a dog before to get the dog to kind of go, oh, okay, that's what you want. So it's just teaching and teaching the dog exactly what you don't want, right? So you don't want the dog to attack the other dog. And if you do, you're going to get something you don't like again, which is the pet convincer. Okay, so that's all right. Let the dog avoid. Don't worry about that. Given enough time, everything's going to be okay. But what can't happen is what exactly is fighting. That just can't happen. So now the dog is thinking, what do I want here, or what's allowed here? Okay, this is not allowed, despite this other dog being here, and so I've got to I can be myself and still have the dog be here. That's the goal. That's it. Thank you for your question. All right. So, you're welcome. Very welcome. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to wrap this up now. No more questions. I've talked for like an hour-ish. But if you liked what you heard or anything like that, give me a thumbs up. I really would appreciate the likes. We'll see you guys next week, same time. And I promise I'll be here for episode 70. This was episode 69. So you guys have a great night, and we'll see you next time.